Schwinn IC4 versus Echelon EX4s. Both of these bikes are actually really nice. So for about $1,000, which bike should you buy? In today's video, we're gonna compare the similarities and differences of these two highly popular indoor cycling bikes that are both priced at about almost the exact same price. The Schwinn IC4 basically costs $900. I bought mine on Amazon for $900 and it shipped straight to my front door for free, and it came in just a few days. Also, I've had this Schwinn IC4 for quite a while and I have a complete, very thorough review on it with a tail happy score where this bike performed very well. I'll put a link to that full review somewhere up here on the screen or down in the description box if you want to learn every little detail about that bike. But this video is really going to be a comparison of the highlights, the major differences and similarities of these two bikes, and we're going to get into the drivetrain feel and the maximum resistance, because both these bikes are very similar and I'm not really sure how they compare quite yet, but we're going to find out today. The Echelon EX4s, if you don't already know, I bought from COSTCO for $1,000, and it comes with 1 year of the Echelon subscription for free, which is valued at $400 according to the pricing plan. Both of these bikes are belt driven and magnetic resistance, and they both have a very nice flywheel. The flywheel for the Schwinn IC4 is listed at 40 pounds on the Schwinn website. In comparison, the Echelon EX4s has a 28.6 pound flywheel. However, as you know in all my videos I say, it really doesn't matter exactly what the mass of the flywheel is. It really just kind of depends on how does it feel to ride the bike, what is the ride quality like, and what is the maximum resistance. And we're going to get in that in just a moment, but let me show you some of the similarities and differences of these bikes before we do that. So the EX4s comes with the Echelon app for free for a year, but the Schwinn IC4 comes with a heart rate monitor, and it also comes with a pair of weights. So in a sense, both of these bikes has a package deal included with it when you buy it. The Echelon EX4s comes with this 10.1 inch vertically rotating tablet, in which you can play the Echelon classes on here if you would like, or you can simply pull up your metrics and do a freestyle mode if you don't want to do Echelon at all. So on this screen you get important metrics such as cadence, resistance, and power output displayed. But over here on the Schwinn IC4 you also get a little mini screen up here. However, this one is not nearly as nice. But this screen does give you metrics such as RPMs, which is cadence, and it also shows your resistance level, and you can hook up your heart rate monitor and get your pulse displayed right here. And even though the Schwinn IC4 doesn't come with a beautiful color screen like you get on the Echelon EX4s, there is a tablet holder right here, so you're not really locked into using any particular platform necessarily on the Schwinn IC4. You know, if you want to do the Peloton digital app or the new Apple Fitness Plus classes that are coming out, just throw up your own tablet right there, or you know, you could even just watch it straight on a TV if you put your bike in front of a television. Whereas on the Echelon EX4s, this thing is basically only going to play Echelon stuff. Of course, you could just use the freestyle mode and pull up your metrics right here and throw this thing in front of a television as well though. One other difference I should point out is the maximum user weight for the Schwinn IC4 is 330 pounds, whereas the Echelon EX4s, the company, they actually don't have this bike listed on their website, but their other bigger bikes are listed at a maximum user weight of 300 pounds. The resistance knob on the Schwinn IC4 is a physical connection, and it takes 4 rotations to get from minimum resistance all the way to maximum resistance. So this bike is very easy to get from one resistance level to another. The Echelon EX4s, on the other hand, is a digital resistance. So you turn this thing and it adjusts the resistance through a motor built into the bike itself. The resistance does change a little bit slower on the Echelon EX4s. And while we're talking about slower, I'm going to talk about the lag on the Echelon EX4s. So look at these numbers, look at the cadence, 0. I'm going to kick this pedal and watch how long it takes for that number to kick up on the screen. Alright, ready for it? Whoa, that was quite a lag there. If you're finding this video helpful, please give me a thumbs up, and any questions or comments you have, please leave down below. Over here on the Schwinn IC4, see if you can keep your eyes up here on this part of the screen, and there'll be that little bar going up when I start moving the pedals here. So I don't know if you could see that, but it was basically instantaneous. As soon as I started pressing that pedal, the resistance kicked, the cadence started going right up. So I'll tell you when I press on the pedal. Now. So, you know, maybe a small lag, but not anything like on the Echelon. Both of these bikes come with SPD clip-ins on one side of the pedal, and the other side has cage style pedals, so you have a lot of flexibility. You know, if you're not that serious for a rider, you can just get in the cage styles, and you know, if you have some SPD clip-in pedals, you're ready to take it to the next level, you can clip in with the SPD pedals on the Schwinn IC4 as well, or use the cage style on the other side. I'm not going to tell you about every little adjustment on this bike. You can see my full review for that. This bike, the Schwinn IC4, is very adjustable, and one good thing that it has going for it is you can move the handlebars forwards and backwards. So you have this little lever up here, and you can actually move those handlebars forwards and backwards to fine-tune your riding position on the Schwinn IC4, whereas on the Echelon EX4s, those handlebars are locked into place where they are. However, you can move the seat forwards and backwards and raise and lower, all this other stuff. That being said, the higher end Echelon models, they do have an ability to move those handlebars forwards and backwards on the EX5s, for example. We'll take a quick peek at the seat real quick here on the EX4s. It has a little cutout, and I think that this seat is a little bit squishier on this bike. There's also a weight rack back there, although no weights come with this Echelon EX4s from COSTCO. Here's what the seat looks like on the Schwinn IC4. It also has a little cutout there, and this one is more firm and flat across the top. I actually prefer this seat more in comparison between the two. However, you know, like I always say, don't listen to my opinion on saddle, because everybody has their own preference for saddle, and I prefer a more firm saddle. Here's a quick peek at the handlebars on the Schwinn IC4. I really like these handlebars. They're nice and thick. They're basically pretty much flat across the top this way. They do kind of like angle, they have like a little flare down looking at it from this perspective. However, the tubing is nice and thick, and there's quite a few places to put your hands on these handlebars, and I like them. The Echelon EX4s handlebars aren't bad, but I do wish that these were flat across here just for reaching out, you know, and riding in the standard riding position. However, these ones are flat across the top from this perspective, and I do like that. I wish that there's a little bit more room on this position to fit my hand, and I wish the tubing was a little bit thicker on the EX4s handlebars. The tubing diameter on these handlebars is a little bit more narrow than what you find on most bikes, including the Schwinn IC4. Okay, so I highlighted the major similarities and differences between the Schwinn IC4 and the Echelon EX4s. If there's anything I missed in there that you want to know more about, I do have many more videos with the Schwinn IC4, so check out my channel, check out some links up here, some cards popping up on the screen or down in the description box below this video, or browse my channel. And I have many more videos on the Echelon EX4s as well, so if there's anything, you know, adjustability wise or anything else you want to know, comparison videos between these bikes that I missed here, browse my channel. But what we're going to do now is I want to compare the drivetrains of these bikes, because that's really the big thing that everybody wants to know, I think. You know, what is the maximum resistance like from the EX4s versus the Schwinn IC4? And also, what is the ride quality like? So let's get into that right now. Starting with the Schwinn IC4, I have the resistance on 0. First thing I'm noticing is I like the seat on this bike. You know, it's flat, it's firm, it's not too firm, but you know, it feels nice. Resistance level 0 feels like very light resistance. It's very easy to get the pedals turning, and it feels smooth. I like the handlebars. They're thick, they're nice to grab onto, and you know, the riding position is pretty good. The Schwinn IC4 is a very silent bike. It's one of the most silent bikes here that I have out of all these bikes. And the drivetrain has pretty good inertia. If I try to stop pedaling this bike, it has a 40-pound flywheel, so you can really feel the mass of that flywheel. Like, this bike does have a good solid drivetrain to it. So yeah, as you can see there, this is resistance 0. Ooh, yeah. So that 40-pound flywheel, it really carries some inertia, and what that does is it helps you even out your cadence when you're riding and put down a more consistent RPMs or cadence. One downside to the mini screen on the Schwinn IC4 is the cadence only goes up to 125. So if you go beyond 125, you're not going to know where your cadence is on this screen. However, that being said, you can, at the time of this recording, cast your cadence onto the Peloton digital app. So this machine does hook up nicely with the Peloton digital app currently, and you can display your heart rate and cadence onto an external device like an iPad using the Peloton digital app. So before I start adding on any resistance, I want to hop over on that bike and get on zero resistance over there too. Okay, so resistance is 0. First thing I'm noticing is I actually kind of like the riding position on this bike a little bit more. The handlebars, it seems like they're a little bit higher. I'll have to double check that later, but I kind of prefer a more relaxed riding position in general on a stationary indoor cycling bike. However, I am kind of noticing one kind of significant downside to this bike is the lag in the metrics. So I believe that this screen is like hooked up to this system down here through like possibly a wireless connection, because like when I stop, it still says I'm pedaling. Still, okay, now it's 0. So like it's legitimately like a 2-second lag for the metrics being displayed up on the screen. So I really don't know if that's like really the greatest, you know what I mean? In terms of flywheel weight, I can tell that the mass of that flywheel on the Schwinn IC4 is heavier. It has like more inertia to it. So, you know, this is a good feeling drivetrain, but I do think that the Schwinn IC4, because it does have a bigger, more massive flywheel that also looks to be a bigger radius, it just kind of carries a little bit more inertia than the EX4s. So hopping straight on back over here to the Schwinn IC4, I can notice that this bike does kind of put me a little bit more down in an aggressive position. I do have the seat on maximum height. The handlebars are also on maximum height. So on the Schwinn IC4, it would be nice for my height of 6'5" if the handlebars came up a little bit nicer. Did I just say nicer? I meant to say higher. So I don't think that I ever noticed this before, and I don't think I would have noticed it if I hadn't been comparing it side by side with another bike right here. However, you know, this bike does have the ability to move the handlebars forwards and backwards. So that is one good thing about the adjustments the Schwinn IC4 has going for it. In terms of that flywheel, I can tell that this bike has a more substantial, heavier flywheel on the Schwinn IC4. You know, 40-pound flywheel versus 28.6 or 28 and change flywheel on the Echelon. All right, straight back over here, because that's what these comparisons are all about, you know? Just feeling them out. Yeah, just feeling out that inertia. Honestly though, the drivetrains on both of these bikes feels really good. And I would say, you know, the drivetrains on both of these bikes definitely is a lot better than a lot of the cheaper bikes I have back there. And you know, they should be. A $900 bike, a $1,000 bike, they should be good quality products, right? Now what I'm gonna do is crank this bike up to maximum resistance. How long does it take? Okay, we're there. So it does take a little bit of time to get between resistance levels on the Echelon EX4s, but it's not bad. But let's feel out the maximum resistance on these bikes, and then we'll compare like a medium resistance on each of them. So I'm on the maximum resistance of 32 on the Echelon EX4s, and it is a very heavy maximum resistance. Really curious how it's going to compare over there to the Schwinn IC4. So my cadence is listed at 32, which is probably lagging behind about a second or two. Watts output is measured at 126, resistance 32 still. It's pretty heavy. Let's feel it out over here. Okay, so for starters, this bike only takes 4 turns to get from minimum to maximum resistance. And it is a physical connection. There's no motor working there. So that's 100. This thing, you can change resistance levels very quickly on the Schwinn IC4. And it's measured on a scale of 0 to 100, which is like the same as the Peloton system. However, the numbers don't line up on the Schwinn IC4 exactly, so I'll put a link to that in the description box if you want to know a conversion. Anyway, we're on resistance level 100, maximum resistance. What does that feel like? So it's a little bit harder to see my cadence on this screen right here because it's measured on like a bar form. It doesn't give you a number on the mini screen. Like I said, you have to put up like an iPad and connect to an external resource, you know, like Peloton digital app or something like that to get your cadence displayed in a number format. Okay, so I mean, this bike has fairly decent maximum resistance, but honestly, not the greatest of the bunch. Let's get back over there. I think the Echelon might have it in terms of maximum resistance by a small margin. The other day I measured the EX4s against the Peloton Bike Plus, and I said it was between like 80 and 85 in comparison, max resistance to what it equals to on the Peloton Bike Plus. Power output is 330, cadence is 60. So I have to say the EX4s probably does have a little bit higher maximum resistance than the Schwinn IC4. It's not a huge number, but yeah, max resistance on the Echelon EX4s is more. Also, I'm noticing over here on the Echelon, I kind of like that there's more room for my knees to kind of get under over here. Whereas on this bike, the water bottle holders kind of get in the way of your knees. And if you have water bottles on that bike, they will actually hit my knees personally at my tall height. Yeah, you know, when I'm in the saddle, it's not as noticeable, but like once I get out of the saddle, I can tell that the Echelon EX4s just has a higher maximum resistance. So like, I'm getting my cadence up to like 80. Yeah, like 75, 80 cadence. It's a lot of work. It's a high max resistance. However, over here, my cadence is like 64 and 70. Yeah, I can, this one definitely has a higher max resistance. It's not a huge number, but I mean, it's definitely higher on this bike. So now what I'm gonna do is just kind of crank it down to like a low medium resistance and just kind of compare the drivetrain feel at like a medium resistance. So here I'm on 16, that's halfway between 32 and 0. So I like the drivetrain on the Echelon EX4s. It feels nice. I'm happy with it. I like this bike. I think it's worth the money, honestly. So I'll crank this one down from 100 down to 50. Actually, put it on like 40. Even lower probably, actually. So it's not quite as, they don't have like the same exact scale necessarily. Okay, so I actually have the resistance all the way down to 15 over here on the Schwinn IC4. And it feels good, you know, like this bike has a good quality drivetrain. They're both acceptable. They both have nice feeling drivetrains. They're both very quiet. Honestly, in terms of the feel, I think that probably you'd be happy with either bike. The Schwinn IC4 does have more momentum though, more inertia because the flywheel mass is just bigger, it's heavier. So yeah, from this angle I can see that the Echelon EX4s does have, the handlebars do come up a little bit higher on that bike as comparison to the IC4. Let me give you my summary of these two bikes compared head to head. So they both cost about the same price. This bike, you know, $1,000 plus the 1 year of free Echelon app services through COSTCO, and the Schwinn IC4, I bought it on Amazon for $900, which you can also buy it through the link in the description box below this video. And if you do buy it there, if you decided this is the bike you want, that does help support this channel. So if you did buy it through that link, I'd greatly appreciate it. However, I'm not trying to convince you to buy the Schwinn IC4, I'm just letting you know that that does help support this channel. Both of these bikes are very nice machines. I've ranked them a lot higher than a lot of the other cheaper bikes back there for sure. I have a full review on the Schwinn IC4 where I ranked it on my Tail Happy score, where, you know, it has 10 different categories, and I really thoroughly dive in and break down this bike. It is a nice bike. The Echelon EX4s is also really nice. So, you know, I think one of the big questions you really need to ask yourself when you're buying either of these bikes is what platform do you want to sign up and be a part of? Because the Echelon bike comes with this tablet attached to it, which is very nice. However, you know, you are going to be kind of like forced to use Echelon on this screen. Now, you can just use the freestyle mode and use it for your metrics, which do seem to have a fairly significant lag to them, honestly. I hope that they can work out this bug. I don't know if they will or they won't. But you know, This bike, you are going to be kind of locked into the Echelon platform, and after that 1 year free subscription is up, you're going to have to decide if you want to renew it or not. And they do have you put your billing information in when you sign up for that, so if you forget, you might get auto billed 1 year later without realizing that it's coming due to renew. The Schwinn IC4 has a great reputation. This bike has been around for a long time. A lot of people choose to use the Schwinn IC4 and pair it up with the Peloton digital app because of all the ease of synchronizing your metrics, you know, such as heart rate and cadence at the time of this recording. You can throw your tablet right up there and play, you know, Apple Fitness Plus, or, you know, you're not locked into any particular platform on the Schwinn IC4. Additionally, with that $900, you get the weights that come with it, and also you get a heart rate monitor as well. So, you know, if you're planning on getting a heart rate monitor, you don't need to go out of your way and buy yourself a Scosche Rhythm Plus or anything like that. It's just all built in straight to the package. Both of these bikes come with dual-sided pedals, you know, the clip-in style on one side and the cage style on the other side. The Echelon EX4s has digital magnetic resistance, whereas the magnetic resistance on the Schwinn IC4 is controlled by that physical knob, which works very quickly and easily. You know, 4 rotations to get from minimum to maximum. It works very nicely. It's easy to turn. I like the knob. You know, the resistance on the digital magnetic over there on the Echelon Connect EX4s, it's a little bit slower. It's not quite as quick, but you know, it does kind of open up the possibility that potentially there is automatic adjusting resistance coming in the future on this bike if it's not already implemented and I'm just unaware of it. If a really high maximum resistance is something that is imperative to you, I will say the Echelon EX4s does seem to have a higher maximum resistance to me. The Schwinn IC4 does have a pretty good maximum resistance, but it's not the greatest of the bunch, honestly. You know, I feel like the maximum resistance of this bike is pretty much good enough for most people, but if you are a particularly powerful person or you have a lot of mass to put down to the pedals, you know, it might not fully satisfy you in terms of maximum resistance on the Schwinn IC4. That being said, the maximum user weight for the Schwinn IC4 is 330 pounds, so this bike has a fairly high user maximum weight in comparison to other bikes. The Echelon EX4 here has a maximum user weight of 300 pounds. So which bike should you buy? That is a question you need to answer for yourself. The Schwinn IC4 is more open to, you know, using Peloton digital app or the new Apple Fitness Plus or whatever platform you would like. You know, you don't have to sign up for any one particular service on the Schwinn IC4. And if you have decided the Schwinn IC4 is the bike you want to buy, if you buy it through the link in the description box below this video, that does help support this channel, and I would greatly appreciate it if you're planning on buying this bike and you're going to buy it anyway, to just buy it through that link because that helps support this channel. The Echelon EX4s is a really good value if you're planning on signing up for the Echelon services anyway, because you get that $400 of free membership services included when you buy the Echelon through COSTCO. If you're not really sold on this little 10.1-inch tablet up here up front, or the tablet at all in general, Echelon does offer the EX3 and also the EX5s, which I have links to those bikes below this video in the description box if you want to check them out and see what they're all about, look at their specs and see how they compare to the EX4s. So really that is the pros and cons of these bikes. I hope that information helps you decide. I really don't have the answer for you. You know, if you're a Peloton person, probably Schwinn IC4. If you're an Echelon person, I'd probably go for the Echelon. So Matt here at Tell Happy TV. Thanks for watching. Subscribe and click the notification bell to make sure you get notified for when my new videos come out. Click that like button and I'll see you in my next video.